Welcome to one of my first Arduino tutorials. This is just a simple tutorial that's going to show how to operate a servo with a joystick controller using Arduino. So I just want to kind of show you a basic setup of how this is going to work. Basically, this is your end product here. If you take a look down here, we can see we have just an Arduino and a breadboard, some basic wiring. You're going to need, obviously, a joystick controller. And you can see that when I move that, it's operating the servo over here as well. So that's kind of our basic setup. Let me just kind of pause this to dismantle, and then we will kind of take a look at the different components you need to complete this tutorial. Okay, so the first thing that you're going to need is you're going to need an Arduino and a breadboard. They don't need to be attached like this. You can see mine's plugged into a USB to my computer so I can send code. But you definitely need an Arduino. In this case, it's Arduino Uno. We're going to be using 2 batteries for this tutorial. Notice that this one here I have set up so I can, at the end, I can just plug this straight into the Arduino. You wouldn't necessarily need this second battery. If you just want to continue to plug into your computer, that will work fine. But for any real project where you want to kind of move away from being always connected to a PC, you're going to want to have this maybe little plug thing here to power your Arduino. I also have a second 9-volt battery. This one I just have in a little battery pack here, and then just notice that the plugs that I have on the end are just typical kind of, so I can plug into the breadboard. You can see that there. Okay, the other component that I'm using for this is I'm just using just this analog joystick, and I'll talk about the pins in a minute, but that's really all this is. I have some extension wires connected to it. In general, I've been going brown is the same as blue, red's red, and orange is yellow for the sake of this if you're trying to kind of see what's going on. Just a small servo as well, and so you can see this is just a small servo that I'm going to use for this tutorial, and then I can use that same kind of scheme as I just talked about with the joystick, and just an extension there of my wires. If I just kind of move that to there, that you can kind of see how I extended that to plug it in the breadboard. And I think I have one jumper wire as well, just basically to jump the ground wire. So let's talk about the first kind of setup that I want to do. To my breadboard, so let's go into the code before I get into that. So you can see I have the code already entered into the Arduino software. I also have copied that code into Notepad++, just so that you guys can kind of see it better. In this smaller view, it's a little more difficult to see, so let's just kind of throw that up there. So starting to go through the code from the top, we just include this servo library here, and then we have kind of some setup tasks we need to do. We're going to set 2 constants. We're going to set a constant here. I have it called x pin to 0, which is really just going to correspond to x-axis on my joystick controller. And then I also am setting the servo. I'm going to use digital pin 3 for my servo. So those 2 constants are just declared at the top here. I have a variable here, an integer variable, which is the servo value. This is going to be used to send the degrees to the servo from the joystick. So that's our main kind of manipulation value that we have. And then you can see I have instantiated a servo here. I just call it servo 1. With these joysticks, something to keep in mind that you can always, I'm not going to use all of the, I'm not going to even use the y-axis on the joystick. I'm not going to use the digital button on the joystick. I'm just going to use the one x-axis. And so theoretically I could be powering multiple servos even with this one joystick. And so you're just kind of repeat that code if you want to add another servo. So just maybe call it servo 2 and then repeat the steps that you're going to see here. We have our 2 main methods in our Arduino software that you're going to see in almost any program. So we have a setup method. This first line of code here is just really setting up so that we're going to log serial record, and so that I can check my values on my joystick to make sure they're working properly. And then I also have, I'm attaching that servo value to that pin number that I've set up here at the top here. So just rather than hard coding that, I made a constant at the top there, so that can be changed very quickly at the top here, rather than searching through code to change what pin number I decided to use. Okay, down through here, then we have our kind of main loop. And it's very simple, really, what's happening. First of all, we're going to read from the joystick, save that in the servo value. Then we're going to actually convert our joystick value to a servo value. And so really all this is doing is the joystick range is from 0 to 1023, and the servo range is from 0 to 180. And this little map method here just converts that. And so it takes in 5 arguments, obviously the servo value itself, and then it takes in the low range of the first, of obviously the joystick value, high range, and then the low range of the servo, and then the high range of the servo, and it converts those and maps those out. And then we want to just write that back to the servo. You can see servo write. Let's say write that value back out. And then I just have some logging here that I put in these 3 lines of code so that I can see and check those values. And then a very, very short delay here before I kind of read again. And that's really it to my program. So once we're in here, of course, we could verify. And then I can send, which shouldn't take too long. And then I can see I was successful there, and then I can upload that code to my Arduino. If you're new to this, sometimes you need to go into Tools and check that your Arduino is set to the right port, but I've already done that. Okay, so everything was successful. My Arduino now has a code, so now it's time to start kind of wiring things up. I'll just pause it here while I kind of switch. Okay, so the first thing that I'm going to wire up to the board is just going to be this battery pack that you see here. And really, I'm just going to put it to the breadboard. I'm just going to use the positive lead and the negative lead, and I'll just give you a quick view of that. It's not maybe the best recording setup, but good enough for what we're doing. You can see just kind of putting it in a positive and negative to the breadboard there as a starting point, give us power for the servo. From there, I'm just going to add a jumper cable from the ground to the ground on Arduino, and so you'll be able to see that in a second. I'll pick that up, make sure I get the right peg there, and I'll just kind of hold that up so you can see that as well. So I'm just kind of jumping from the ground on there to the ground on Arduino, one of the grounds that you can see there. And I'll hold that up so you can get a better view of what that is. Okay. Okay. Then from there, I think the next thing that I'm going to wire up is I'm going to wire up the servo. So I have the servo here. You can see that I've kind of extended that. If I just hold that in front of the camera there, I've extended it. Blue is brown, red is red, and yellow and orange are linked up. Just so you can see that. So the first thing I'm going to do with that, if I'm going to power my servo, is I'm just going to match those up. So I'm going to put a positive lead into just above where on the positive line there, and then a negative lead, and the negative, you can see my servo is moving right away as soon as I do that. And then the PWM that my servo is going to use, that I programmed that to, is pin 3, if you remember. I want to make sure I plug that into pin 3. I'm seeing that right. There we go. So it's in pin 3 right now. I'll try and hold that up as best I can just for you to see. Okay, and so I've went into that pin 3, PWM 3. Okay. From there, next thing that I'm going to do is just connect the controller. Now, let's just see if you guys can get a good view of this. I'm not sure exactly where to hold this. It's right there. From that view, you can probably see that we have a ground, 5 volt, and then it says VRX. And so what that means is that that's going to be our X on our joystick, and we've programmed that to 0. Notice there's a VRY, and then it says SW, and that's for switch. And that's a digital switch. So actually, I don't know if you can see that on here if you take a closer look at it. But there's actually a little switch here too on these controllers. Press down, and you can flip from 0 to 1 on that digital switch. We're not going to do that. I could also program the y coordinate, which would be up and down, but I'm not going to do that. I just want that servo to move just based on the x-axis moving on the joystick. So I'm going to do that, and then I'll show you that. Okay. So with this one, I'm going to plug right into the 5 volt of the Arduino, and then I'm going to plug right into the ground as well. And then I said that it was going to be analog 0, so I'll plug into that, and then hopefully you can get a little bit of a view of this for you. Okay, so I'll just kind of try and hold that up as best I can. And so I went into analog 0. You can kind of see that at the top if you look there. It's the yellow wire on the top. And then I've also went into just into the 5 volt. It's harder to see at that angle. The 5 volt and the other ground. And so you can see those are those wires that I was plugging in just at the top up here. Okay? I'll try and get a picture of this to add to the video later on. Okay, so that's our basic scheme. And then if I want to test this out, make sure this is working, just kind of bring things back over here. And it is actually working, just to show you that. Okay, it is working. And remove that controller, and that works pretty well. Now, one last thing that I want to do before we kind of get to the end of this too, I want to show that you can just use this little battery pack so you can disconnect from the PC. So I'm going to do that for now. I'm going to unplug the USB, you can hear there, and I'm going to plug in my second 9 volt battery into the plug-in just on the Arduino. I'm not sure if you really can see that. Basically, I just plugged it in there. See there? And now let's just test this out again, just to give you a view of a kind of standalone working Arduino and the servo. Not sure if this viewpoint is perfect, but you should be able to see that. That works just fine. Okay, before the end of the video here, I just wanted to kind of allude to a couple things. We did add some logging code. So if I go back to Notepad++, you remember I actually added some code here that started logging up here. It takes one variable, which is actually the serial logging baud. I'm going to show you what that is in a second. And then we also added 3 lines of logging code down here. And so when you get into your Arduino, and after you send code, so after I send code, you can see it's being compiling and sending now. I can, in this top kind of right corner, click on the little magnifying glass there. It's going to open up the serial monitor, and you can see now it's logging the access. Now you may have to actually set the baud down here if it's not set to 115,200. And then if I move my joystick now, you can see it's actually changing those values from 0 to 179. And then I can carefully kind of log what's happening. If I have any problems, it's a good thing to do so I can kind of check that things are working properly. At least this way I know that the joystick is working. And then I know it's a servo problem if I'm logging properly. Now, the other thing that I promised to show you guys was just a picture of the kind of schematics. And so you can pause the video and take a close look at this and just make sure everything is working for you the way it's supposed to. And that's about it. That's the end of my video. I'll talk to you next time. Okay, just as an add-on, I wanted to just kind of allude to the fact that if you have a shield, and I just want to kind of, I don't even know what brand name this one is here. Just turn this around. Shields are great add-ons to Arduinos and kind of can eliminate all that mess of wires that you'd see when you have breadboard. So I'm going to pause the video and I'm going to show how just plugging this into the top of the Arduino Uno is going to save me a lot of extra wiring. Okay, so I've just grabbed a different Uno. This one's actually in a case here, but basically I just plugged in that shield on top of it. And I sent code to this Arduino as well already. And now all I have to do is plug in a few things, and then I'm up. So first thing I did was I just plugged in the positive from my 9 volt battery to the VCC and then the ground here. And then that actually eliminates the need for two 9-volt batteries. I'm actually going to power the whole thing right through through those components there. Okay, the next thing I did was I just plugged in the servo over here. You can see that that's kind of the case there. The nice thing about this is that it has this shield here has the ground, power, and then the digital output. Just like a PWM on any other kind of microcontroller that you'd have. They're all right together, and so it's just a quick little plug-in, and my servo's plugged in. Okay, so you see here the other thing that I could plug in here, and it actually has all 5 ports, just like you'd see on the joystick there. So it has the y-axis, and it also has that digital output as well. Is I just plugged into the analog here. Again, they're lined up really nice on this shield, so it's just ground, power, and then my analog out, or analog in, and just plugged right in, and then I don't have that big mess of wires again. And that's it. It's all working, and everything works fine. You can hear it there. I'll show you a better view of this. I just kind of tilt the camera down. Here you can kind of see the end product and kind of see how the shield just makes that work really nice and easy and well. Hopefully you can see that okay there. Maybe I'll just take a picture and add that to the end as well. But yeah, that's all there really is to it. The shield really kind of cleans things up. You have one battery and everything just kind of plugged in there and working now. So pretty cool. So here's the end product with the shield. You can see how much cleaner everything looks. Everything's working well. So you can pause this and take a look at that if you want to wire up with that shield. Sorry I don't have the name for that. But anyways, this is it. Talk to you next time.